Welcome to Scary Stories. They call me PQ River. If you're hearing my voice, it means that our old pal Bigfoot has caught his roommate's sore throat and can't read for you today. Don't worry. I live in New Mexico, and no flu virus can survive in the heat out here. Biggie sent me something good to read for you, so get comfortable. It's one of what he says is a pile of allegedly true stories by an anonymous contributor that describes himself as the spry old codger. The codger has stories that he says happened to him about werewolves, aliens, Bigfoot, and some kind of oversized bird. He's spent his life on a farm, but it seems the weird has his address in their book. This one I'm going to read to you today starts off seeming like it's a UFO story, and I guess it sort of is, but it's mainly a Dogman story, so give it a minute in order to get started. Ready or not, here comes the allegedly true narrative we're going to call The Spry Old Codger and the Dogman. Dear Scary Stories NYC, here is the scary Dogman story I sent you a query letter about. It is all true as I remember it, and I remember those days a lot better than I remember things that happened 10 minutes ago. Since I listen to your show with headphones on when I'm going to sleep at night, I'd like to present it in the form of a campfire tale or bedtime story. So gather round, folks, and listen up. I reckon it's time I shared a tale from my younger days, back when I was in my late 20s and a tad more spry than I am these days. It was the early 70s, a time of bell-bottoms and peace signs, when life was simpler and the world seemed a bit more mysterious. Back then, we all wanted to know more. More about celebrities, more about how the government works, more about how the bigwigs make their decisions. These days, we mostly wish we could unsee an awful lot of stuff. Good luck to you if you plan on sticking around much longer in this century. I'm here to offer you a 10 or 20-minute vacation from the present year, if you'd like it. We can journey together to a land where things are still only starting to get stupid. It's a place where every man is allowed to have his equal say, where freedom is still considered a good thing that people write songs about, and bacon is under $1 per pound. You heard me. This place not only has real freedom, it has cheap bacon. Where is this utopia, you ask? Well, you might not like the answer, because this magical land I'm describing is Richard Nixon's America of the early 70s. They kicked him out when they caught him spying on his political rivals. These days, they won't even kick them out if they spy on the entire country, so yeah, seriously, come with me, back to a time before the idiocracy, when the scariest things we had to deal with were monsters and cryptids and such like. Does YouTube have any public domain 70s rock music? You should give us just like 35 or 45 seconds of it now to set the mood. That's good enough. Okay, now I'm feeling less like I'm in my 70s and more like it is the 70s. And so, now that I'm in the mood, I'm going to begin my story. Oh wait, before I get into my long, involved story, I wanted to give you a little short appetizer, you might say. This was the first time I seen a Dogman, although I thought it was just a fluke sighting at the time. Yeah, I should tell you this first, because I'm not certain it doesn't have to do with the main story, which I'll hop into right afterwards. Now, it was a week before harvest, and my corn was standing tall and proud, just waiting to be plucked. The sun was just about to tuck itself in for the night, and I was out on my porch, enjoying the cool breeze. That's when I saw it, a figure moving through the cornfield. Now, mind you, this wasn't no ordinary critter. This was big, and its dog head was sticking up clear as day above the corn plants. How tall is a corn stalk ready to be harvested? Well, this booger was taller than that. It was a sight to remember, brother. A Dogman or Wolfman or whatever you want to call it. I ain't never seen anything like it before, but I've seen a bunch since. It was running through my field, not a care in the world. Well, I wasn't about to let some creature trample my crops, so I grabbed my wife's shotgun and hollered at it, "Get out of here, you varmint!" I yelled, and I fired a shot into the air. That thing turned and looked at me, and I swear, it had the most human eyes I ever seen on a beast. Then it took off, faster than a jackrabbit with its tail on fire. Next day, I went out to where I'd seen it. Curious as a cat, I was half expecting to find some tracks or maybe some fur, but there wasn't a trace of that creature. It was like it vanished into thin air. I checked the corn too, and I found no tracks or hair or scat there either. Now, I don't know what that creature was or where it came from, but I reckoned at the time that it was just passing through, maybe looking for a place to rest its weary paws. So that was autumn, or the end of summer at least. Fast forward to early in spring the next year, just a few days before planting season was about to begin. Ready? Here's where the spry old codger's story really starts. Once upon a time, I lived in the greatest country in the history of the world. I woke up each day knowing that things were great and only gonna get better. One fine morning, as the first rays of dawn peeked over the horizon, I was out tending to my farm. I did have hired help, but this was the end of a time off for them until planting season was about to start up in a few days. This was an in-between time on the farm where nobody was there except for me, the wife, and the two young ones. The air was crisp, the birds were just starting to sing their sweet melodies, and the darkness was starting to slowly light up. Everything felt ordinary, which was a good thing back in those days, but little did I know. Something extraordinary was about to unfold, something I'd still be talking about when I was an old man. As I gazed up at the purple and blue early morning sky, my eyes caught sight of something peculiar. There, above the dense woods near my farm, was a craft like nothing I'd ever seen before. It was shaped like a cigar, glowing with an otherworldly light. It was a UFO like I'd read about in the Inquirer. My heart skipped a beat, and I couldn't tear my eyes away from that thing up there. I thought it might be a blimp that was all lit up, but it didn't have any blinking lights on it. For you younger listeners, that means that if it was an earthly craft, it wasn't a legal one. So whether piloted by man or alien, I knew it shouldn't be there in that airspace, and that put me on guard. Before I knew it, a really weird sensation washed over me. I couldn't move a muscle, as if time itself had frozen. The craft, it seemed, was drawn closer and larger with each passing moment, though I knew it was only me that was locked in place. My mind raced, trying to make sense of what was happening. Now, I ain't one to easily scare, but I'll admit, fear started creeping in. Thoughts of unknown and spooky things from the Twilight Zone filled my head, but deep down, I knew I had to stay calm and face whatever was coming my way. Just as the craft loomed overhead, a gust of wind swept through the trees, rustling the leaves and sending shivers down my spine. The breeze grew stronger, and the craft seemed to pulsate with an energy I couldn't comprehend. It was a sight that would stay with me for the rest of my days. Out of that craft, like a pack of wild animals, ran at least 6 tall, bear-sized, fast-moving creatures. They had 2 legs, muscles bulging like they could lift a whole barn, and faces covered in hair. Dog-faced is what they were, and hairy from head to toe. These creatures, they scattered in every direction like a bunch of scared rabbits, and wouldn't you know it, one of them was headed straight for me. My heart was pounding in my chest, and I could feel the sweat trickling down my brow. Well, I reckon I was scared out of my wits when that Dogman started chasing after me. I let out a holler for my wife as I sprinted back toward the house, my heart pounding in my chest. I grabbed anything I could find and threw it in the creature's path, hoping to slow it down. But that Dogman was fast, I tell ya. I spotted a yellow plastic toy baseball bat lying on the ground and snatched it up, swinging it at the creature as hard as I could. It let out a growl, but it didn't back down. I kept swinging and swinging, trying to fend it off, but it kept on coming at me. Just when I thought I was done for, my wife burst out of the back door, rifle in hand. She aimed it straight at the Dogman's head, her eyes filled with determination. The creature froze in its tracks, staring down the barrel of that rifle. Time froze as we had ourselves a bit of a standoff. Well, let me tell you, that Dogman was a sight to behold standing there in the sunlight. How many people get a chance to see such a thing so close and with the sun coming up? Not many, right? And how many live to tell the tale? Far fewer, believe me. The beast man had ears like a wolf, pointy and alert, twitching with every sound, and them fangs, oh boy, they were something else. Long and sharp, sticking out from its mouth like prehistoric daggers. It's a wonder how they fit in there at all. Now its coat, well, it was a mess, flea-bitten and shaggy, like it hadn't seen a good grooming in ages, and its body, let me tell you, it was something to reckon with. Muscles bulging and rippling under that matted fur like it could tear a tree right out of the ground. Them legs, they were dog-like, sturdy and powerful, and the height of that creature, well, it towered over me. I reckon it must have been at least 7 feet tall, if not more. And the way it moved with such speed and agility was like watching a wild animal on the hunt. In that dawn light, every detail of that Dogman was etched into my memory. As I locked eyes with the beast, I couldn't help but notice the range of emotions playing out on its face. At first there was a sense of curiosity, like it was trying to figure me out. But as moments ticked by, I could see the nervousness creeping in. It was as if the beast was realizing that humankind was its match, that we weren't going to back down without a fight. Now, I know some folks might think it's arrogant to take such a human-centric position, but let me tell you, I've seen enough in my years to know that we humans are capable of some mighty impressive things. We built cities, tamed the land, and even reached for the stars, so it ain't too far-fetched to think that a creature like the Dogman might just be getting a taste of its own medicine by staring into the eyes of a superior creature, namely me. Just like Captain Kirk used to say, we humans have a way of rising to the occasion, of facing the unknown with courage and determination. And that's exactly what I saw in that beast's eyes. Like when he was looking at me, he was seeing old James Tiberius from the TV. The Dogman was growing increasingly nervous because it knew, deep down, that it had met its match. Well, I'll be darned if that creepy old cryptid didn't turn tail and run on 2 legs. As it sprinted away, I couldn't help but notice the fur on its back. It had these markings that looked more like a cat's fur than a wolf's or dog's. It was all sleek and shiny, with stripes and spots that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. I ain't never seen anything like it before or since. Well, I grabbed that rifle right out of my wife's hands and started shouting at that Dogman as it turned tail and run. I shouted at the top of my lungs, "You better run, you alien varmint. This here forest belongs to us humans, and we won't stand for your invasive species polluting our land." I waved my rifle in the air, feeling a surge of pride in my voice as I reminded the Dogman how these outer space entities had no right to defile the freedom of our great country. America's always been a land of liberty, and it's high time we took back control of our forests from these intergalactic intruders. As a farmer who spent countless hours tending to my land and observing the natural world around me, I've come to a fascinating realization. There's something peculiar happening in our midst, something that goes beyond the realm of conventional understanding. I believe that aliens may be responsible for the presence of invasive species, such as the enigmatic Dogman, or even other cryptids like Sasquatch, Yeti, Ogopogo, Nessie, and possibly the Hodag. I mean, there's an alien connection to shadow people, at least some of them. Well, I've heard that. I'm happy to say I've not seen any shadow people because those creep me out. As for my wife, she only saw the one Dogman that night, and she never saw the glowing craft. It must have flown away or made itself invisible or something while I had my back turned it, because after I ran back toward the farmhouse, I didn't see or hear the spaceship any longer. My wife believes my story because she saw that wolf man that chased me back to the house, and she knows this is not the kind of thing I would lie about. I ain't saying I never lied to the woman, but the times I had, it was to avoid drama and conflict. I would never lie to make up a fable unless the lie was less painful than the truth, and in no way was that big toothy monster man less painful than anything. That fellow was pretty much pain personified, if you ask me, which I know you didn't, but you should have. And if you had, that's what I would have told you. But the Dogman is pain personified, so you don't want to mess with him if you can possibly avoid it. And he wouldn't even be on our planet if it weren't for whoever's piloting those flying saucer drone craft that drop these things off. But the obvious question is, why do aliens like to introduce alien species? From rains of fish or frogs to the drop-off of Michigan dogmen in my field, it's clear that these entities are deliberately altering our environment. But why? I think that's a good question. Why? What are their potential motives? While we can honestly only guess about their intentions, several theories have been put forth that I think are worth considering. One possible motive is experimentation. It is conceivable that aliens, with their advanced technology and scientific knowledge, may be conducting experiments on Earth's ecosystems. By introducing invasive species, they could be observing what happens to native plants and wildlife, studying the sturdiness and adaptability of different species, or even testing the limits of Earth's life forms. Another motive could be colonization. If aliens have plans to establish a presence on Earth, introduce an invasive species could serve as a way to prepare the environment for their own survival. By altering the ecosystem, they may be creating conditions that are more favorable to their own species, ensuring their successful colonization. I don't like the implications of this theory, and it kind of makes me wonder if some of our leaders are from outer space. Aliens may have a vested interest in messing up Earth systems for reasons unknown to us. This could be a deliberate attempt to weaken our planet's natural defenses, making it more susceptible to future invasion or exploitation. The potential consequences seem pretty major to me. I mean, if they're doing what I think they're doing, it could have a devastating effect on Earthling ecosystems, leading to the decline or extinction of our animals and plants, to be replaced by what exactly? This loss of biodiversity can disrupt the delicate balance of human and Earthling life, affecting the overall health and functioning of our entire planet. So, while we can only speculate on the motives behind aliens introducing invasive species, theories such as experimentation and disruption of ecosystems provide intriguing possibilities. Both would logically be being done to soften us for takeover. Understanding these motives and their potential consequences seems crucial in our efforts to protect Mother Earth and preserve the delicate harmony of our natural world. I mean, we're going to make any effort in that direction. So, we've never gone public about that story because anytime we tell it to friends or family, we get mocked, called all sorts of names. Everybody seems to think that we're simpletons, and they all say if they were there when it happened, they could have explained to us that we were only seeing the full moon or we were seeing a bear. We're too stupid to know that it wasn't a dog man. Well, I don't care if some people call it a trick of the light or a figment of our imagination. In my heart, I know it was something more. It was a glimpse into a world beyond our own, reminding me and the missus that there's still so much we don't understand. So, my friends, as you drift off to sleep tonight, remember this tale of mine, and know that even in the quietest corners of our world, there are mysteries waiting to be unraveled. This is Spry Old Codger signing off for now. Sleep tight, and may your dreams be filled with wonder and adventure. Hey there, boys and ghouls. Dr. Death here to thank today's executive producer, PQ Ribber. That's right, today's episode was brought to you by PQ Ribber, who does radio shows at ONSUG, the Overnightscape Underground, such as The Appreciator, the Big Appreciation Showcase, and the Overnightscape Central. But, you don't have to be an internationally famous internet radio guy like PQ Ribber to become an executive producer of this show. In fact, there are a number of ways you right here, yes you, listening to this, can become an executive producer and get cool perks as well. And here to tell you all about them is a guy I bet you anything is going to call me Biggie. Ain't that right, Henry?
Thanks, Biggie. And thanks to all of you for watching this far. If you liked it, please click like. If you'd like to see more of our work, please subscribe. And also click that bell icon if you'd like to be notified when we put out a new episode. To become an executive producer, you can donate to us through the thanks button under each of our videos or through our paypal.me/PeterBernard209 page. To receive cool perks like secret uncensored Dogman episodes far too wild to ever run on this channel, you can become a YouTube channel member by clicking the join button, or join our PayPal subscribers club at peterbernard.com. Joining either at the $3 a month level or above gets you access to our over 25 hours of secret uncensored Dogman stories available nowhere else. Do you have a scary story about Dogman or some other kind of high strangeness that happened to you? Let us know by emailing us at scarystoriesnyc@gmail.com or by leaving us a voicemail message at 804-LA-SCARY. You may need to call back on that one. It cuts off after, I think, 3 minutes. And if you don't want to do any of that stuff, thank you for simply watching to the end. Good night, and have a scary tomorrow.
Come back for more scary stories.